Introduce retired Brigadier General Zvi Givati. He was born in Israel and he lived in Lebanon as a young child. He studied at the Alliance Elementary School both in Lebanon and in Jerusalem, and he finished his studies at the Italian Boys' School here in Jerusalem. Zvi attended Hebrew University at Tel Aviv campus, and that is where he studied political science and public administration. He founded the first Jewish boys' detention center, and he was also invited to open the first open prison, which was based on education for the prisoners. Zvi ended his service with the Ministry of Police as Deputy Commissioner of Israel at the rank of General. He went on from there and was head of the IDF in Senegal, West Africa, and he was also advisor for the Ministry of Education during 1965 and 1967. He was the director of bonds of Israel in the east and north of France. And then, if that's not enough, for 22 years he was the liaison officer of the ICEJ, International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem. And he now serves, and it is our privilege, that he is the advisor for CFI as advisor for special projects. He speaks 5 languages fluently: Hebrew, English, Arabic, French, and Yiddish. He also knows some Italian and German. He is a man of many talents. Please warmly welcome Zvi Givati. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now you can hear me? If not, I will shout. I am used to do that at home all the time. Don't worry. Good afternoon. I was asked to talk. I said, what shall I talk? And you can even tell jokes. So I wonder whether you want to hear a lecture or you want to hear jokes. Whatever you decide, I will do. I am still from the last generation, born in Jerusalem, left to Lebanon, stayed there for 9 years, came back to Israel. My father was among the first Guardian. There was an organization called Hashomer, the Guardian. They used to go with Arab dress, ride on horses, because the Arabs at the beginning, they were taking care on all the Jewish agricultural areas. During the night they took care, and before in the morning they brought the thieves to steal, and then said it was the end of the day, I didn't see the thief. Until a group of Jewish people had decided, we will be the Guardian, we don't need the Arabs. But at the beginning they were wearing Arab clothing. And my father, one of them, when it started, they lived in an almond grove, among the trees of the almond, no running water, no toilet, nothing, for 2 years outside, under the sky of God. And my mother said that they were living in a tent, and in the morning at 6 o'clock they have to wake up and go under the tree, because in the tent it was like an oven in summer, it's like a freezer in winter. It was very hard life. But then he left and worked in another job, and then he was called to Lebanon to be an inspector of Shell company, to go to check the gas stations, incognito. And there my sister and small brother were born there, so we were 4 children at the family. Unfortunately, we are only 2 now, but this is the way the world goes on. And we lived in Lebanon. This is a period which was a crucial period, and I think my story is, some of you have heard it already or read the book, but I have been told by my excellent secretary Sheila that we have new members that maybe didn't hear, and those who heard it will hear it again. Lebanon is an Arab country. but there were few Jewish families there. And at the beginning, we lived in a Jewish area. So everything was all right until the age of 8 years. We moved to an Arab Christian area, and this was something like a closed area. The whole quarter was one big family, very nice. Sometimes the mothers would collect 3-4 mothers would collect vegetables, make salad, and all the children from the quarter would come and eat together salad. It was very nice. Until one day something have changed, and the children started to ask questions. Why do you on Saturday, why don't you go to school? We are Jewish. What Jewish is? Oh, a Jew is a faith. They didn't understand. 8 years, 9 years old. But then Sunday, they had holiday, but we were used to go to school because we have studied in a Jewish school. And it was a little bit strange for them that Saturday they go to school, we stay home. Sunday they stay home, we go to school. We are something different. And if you are something different, we don't like it. And at the beginning they ask questions, but then they have decided that we are something different than what they are. This is not enough. But they started to make us, at the beginning, joking. But later on they found it nice. And you have to know, children sometimes can be very, very cruel. And they were. And at the beginning they were only pushing us, sometimes taking the briefcase. And when I ran after the boy, give me my briefcase, he would throw it to somebody else. And somebody else, I ran to the other one, and they threw it back here, there. And sometimes they will open the briefcase, and when he threw it to somebody else, all the books and copybooks were spread. It was not difficult. It was humiliating. And I want you to know, to me, somebody can humiliate me only once in life. Only once in life. My experience in life is so terrible that if I come to some place and I am offended with this person, I will never, ever have any relations. Really, we are not rich people. We never had enough money at home. But we had one thing, is a little bit of pride. And if this you take from me, then I have nothing left in the life. And I would like to say a few words about my father. My father was a son of a big rabbi. He was a regional rabbi in Russia. And he was the supplier of the food and other things for the Russian, for the Tsar army. And he made a lot of money. Everyone made a lot of money. The soldiers, no. The soldiers had to hunger, but all the rest made a lot of money. And he had 9 brothers. There were 10 children. So every one of them was 1.90 meters of all the children. They say that the family Berg, when 3 children of Berg would walk on the street, everyone went aside, because he knew that if you deal with this tree, you certainly always lose. And he was a man of, he taught me to take care of my honor and my pride. People were afraid of him. So was I. And one day, to come back, we went to school, my brother and I. Usually, the children were in the quarter always in groups. And whenever one started to play with us, to play in a nasty way. All the others joined him. And it was very hard for us two, my elder brother and me, to fight against them. But one day, we met two children, Christians. And I said, because I was inspired that being the second one in the family, I was the leader all the time. And I said, let us go and teach them a lesson. Next time they will not deal with us. And he said, come on, hey, you, boy, you are heroes when you have 15 friends, huh? Let us see now. And now we started. This was our fault. And it took a minute. And I don't know where, from under the ground, they came out, other maybe 7, 10 Christian children. And all of them jumped on us and beat at us, but in a terrible way. They tear all our clothing. They took the books and tear them into pieces. They took the copybooks and tear them into pieces. Because this time, it was not a joke. This time we have attacked the Christians, their friends. And it didn't want to take revenge for what we did to the Christians. They wanted only, this was an opportunity for them. Here we have a Jew, let us break him his bones. And we came to school and the teacher said, what happened? Everything is stolen. I was blue here, blue here, blue here. That's what I have been told. And that evening I came home with my brother, and my father was sitting on an armchair. We had an old armchair which he bought or he found some place in the garbage and repaired it, and he was reading a Russian newspaper, and he didn't see us when we came in. My father never paid too much attention to his children. And I said, Shalom, Daddy. Shalom. But he still was looking on the newspaper, not seeing me. And I said, I have to ask you a question. He said, what's the question? What still was under the newspaper, behind the newspaper? I said, we went this morning to school, and the Christian children have beat at us. And then he took away the newspaper. Knowing my father, I knew exactly what he's going to do. He will stand up and said, who are the children? I am going to break their neck. I will break their hands and legs. They will never touch my children. But it was very strange. It was not the same father. He didn't react. He stood there, looked at me, and said, what happened? So I told him, we started. This is true. But you know, children, you fight. After 5 minutes, they make peace between them. It's not like the Palestinian and Israel, and it goes quicker. And he saw me, I said, tell me why these Christian children hate us so much. Why they beat us? Why do they do that? And he looked, he said, because you are a Jew. You know, I remember exactly. I could, if I knew to draw, I would draw you the picture and his eyes on this moment. Full of anger and sadness. And he said, because you are a Jew. Now, what do you mean I am a Jew? I didn't choose to be a Jew. I was born a Jew. You was born a Jew. It goes by generation. And he didn't answer me. He probably didn't have an answer. So he took the newspaper, continued to read, and I understood that I better leave him to read before he tells me, don't bother me. He never saw us, the children, in such situation. But from that day, we stopped to go to school together with the Christian children. We, all of us, went to school at 20 to 8, 7:30. The school opened. Jewish school or Christian, they opened at the same time. But we woke up 1 hour earlier. And it was still dark outside. When these two small children, one 10 years, one 8 years old, one 11, one 9 years old, Jewish with the briefcase, are going to school when the streets are empty. And no child on the street. Only us. Only us. Because we were afraid to be the Christian children. They will beat us. And coming to school, the school was closed. And we sat there near the gate, like a cat or a dog would sit on the street and wait until the guardian will come and open the school and we go in. Coming back, we couldn't go outside to play with the children. So where we lived, we had a small yard, and we stayed in the yard, my brother and I, and all the period that we stayed there until we came to Israel, I never ever played with another boy or a friend. We were alone, the two of us. My sister was very small. I lost my youth. My youth, where children are happy and play and enjoy life. We were sitting there, sad, afraid, humiliated because of the Christians. The Christian children have stolen my youth. And youth, you have only once in a life. It's gone. It will never be again. And my hatred towards Christians was terrible. I couldn't see them, I didn't like them, I didn't want to talk with them, I didn't have to have anything with Christians. Anything. And it went on until the age of 30. I was a director of a jail, and when I heard that we have visitors, a commissioner or the minister would send me visitors to jail, I took a day off every time and said to my deputy, you take care on the guests. I am not here on that day. I didn't want to see them. Then one day, my daughter brought a small boy from France, and she said, Mama, the teacher said who will adopt him? He's a new immigrant, and he speaks French, and we all at home speak French. So I told to the teacher, I will adopt him. Of course, my daughter used always to say, who will make a cake for the class? So my daughter will lift his hand, knowing her mother will do that. And who will adopt the child? I, knowing her parents will do that. She was very brave. And okay, she brought the child, and I was happy that, first of all, we have succeeded to educate our daughter to be willing to help everybody, and brought the child. And he went home, and I told him, from now on, every day you come from school with Anat, my daughter, and you will eat with us, and then you will make your homework. Anat will help you because he knew only French, and it was in Israel. And then the mother said, we want to come, I want to see this family. And she came. Her husband was a great writer in Tunis, and he left his wife with 3 children and went with a young girl, and he divorced. And the mother had to take care for the children. And of course, she came, and we had adopted all the children. I fixed for them the studies, later on find for them work. One of them became a very famous professor in Switzerland, is Berebe, Michael Berebe, today a professor. He is teaching the Bible, and they were a Messianic Jews. Did somebody ever heard this name, Professor Michael Berebe? This was the boy. He was a boy and finished the secondary school. And this lady one day said, they lived, the boy, Michael, had studied in Denmark, and the mother said one day, I have guests from Denmark, and I want you to come for dinner. She didn't tell me, she told to my wife. I was in the police, very busy. I came home, and she said, We are invited to Malta. She has a couple of Danish Christian people, and she wants us to come to dinner. I said, you know my story. I will go to eat with Christians. You are crazy. I'm not going. You are going, you are not going, we argue. But to you men who are sitting here, I want you to know in my home, I say the last word. Yes, whatever she said, I say, yes, dear. There is no other way. Try. You try once to do it another way, and you will see. Anyhow, I had bad experience when I tried. And at the end, I went. We had dinner with this couple, very nice people. For me, it was the greatest punishment I ever had in my life. To sit with Christian to eat. Could you imagine such a thing? And then he said, I wanted to bring young volunteers to Israel, but the municipality don't answer me. For 2 years I am writing letters and we reached nothing. So do you want me to deal with it? Would you? Yes. So I'll try. Teddy Kollek was the mayor. I was already a general. And Teddy Kollek, I knew him very well. I called his secretary, tell Zvi Givati want to see the mayor for 5 minutes. And they know if I say 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes. And Teddy Kollek said, let him come now. I came and told him, for 2 years, Christians want to come to help you. And you even don't answer. So what would they do here? I said, they say they want to do everything that we Israelis, Jews in Israel, cannot or don't want to do, so they will do it. And he said, why not bring them? I said, oh, that's enough. Now, with whom I deal? He said, I will call the deputy. The deputy came, Dr. Peled. He was a general at the police, at the army, IDF, retired general. He came and he said, Peled, Zvi Givati want to bring youngsters from Denmark to volunteer here. I agree, I approve the program, take him now from my office. I'm afraid of him, he was laughing, and fix with him the problem. So I went to him and I sat down in his office. He said, Zvi, write me a letter. I said, Dr. Peled, no letters anymore. For 2 years we wrote letters. I want to go out from here with the problem solved. Now, today, no letters. If you cannot, just tell me I am going to Teddy Kollek. He said, no, sit down. He said, who will deal with me? He said, the head of the social assistant. Call them and tell her that I am coming. He called, it was a lady. And he told her, Mr. Givati has a plan to bring from Denmark, he wants to see you. So she said, let me see the calendar. I said, no calendar, now. As she one day will be in jail, I will help her, tell her. So they laughed and she received me. I said, we'll bring you volunteers from Denmark. And so what the conditions? I said, we will take care for the sleeping place, and we will take care for the food, we will take care for everything. We don't want from you anything except the bus fare, because this is what Christians Svensson told me. So she said, I agreed. So now we are finished, yes. So that then you write me a letter? I said, yes, I write you a letter. She didn't know what kind of letter she will get. I went to my office and said, dear Mrs. So-and-so, following our conversation, we are bringing you volunteers, they'll do this and that and that. Thank you for accepting this idea. A copy to the mayor and a copy to Dr. Peled. And I called him by telephone. I said, Svensson, prepare to bring the volunteers. And he said, no. First, I want you to come with Esther to Denmark. Wait a minute, where is Denmark? What kind of a country is that? I never had to do with Scandinavia. So he said, I am sending you the tickets, you come. And you know, and you will not believe. I slept in the bed of the Queen of Denmark. She was not there, of course. Huh? The Queen has a palace on a lake in a beautiful place with a curtain with electric button that the curtain will open and you see the lake, ducks there in the lake, very nice. And she donated this building. It was a small building of, I think, 25 rooms. And she donated it for elderly people. And the director of the place took the room of the Queen with the bed. And when we came, of course, she gave us this room. And he invited us because he wanted to create an association and gave it the name, the Danish Jewish Friendship Association. And we were the guests of honor. And we went to a Bible school. We get a very nice room. Everything was ready. Make a shower. It was the first of the month. And here we wait outside. We have to go to speak. And a person who came and said, Mr. Svensson is inviting you to come to speak. Where is that? Said, it's this building. And this building on the roof, there is a cross. And I remember. I said, but this is a church. He said, yes. So you are crazy. You want me to go to speak in a church? Yes, why not? Never. I had from the question, I forgot it a little bit, but I had enough. I am not going to enter a church in my life. And then he stood there. He said, Mr. Givati, there are 300 people inside. They wait for you. So I said, wait, I don't care. I am not going in a church. Now I want to make a break and to tell you something. You have to know that a Jew, when he is born, they put in his head the story of Hannah and 7 children. Is anybody of you know the story of Hannah and 7, except you? Is somebody else know it? No. Hannah had 7 children, and she was invited by an emperor, and he said, here is a statue which was the god of the emperor. They were praying for this statue, and he said, you have to bow to the statue. And Hannah said, never, I bow only to God of Israel. And then he saw that it doesn't work, so he said, I will kill your eldest son if he will not bow. And he called him on and said, bow to the statue. And the son looked at his mother and he said, Mama, don't worry. I better die and not bow to any statue. And he was killed in front of his mother. And then the emperor said to the second child, you go. Now he said, Hannah, are you going to bow? He said, no. And he killed the 6. The 7th one was a small boy. And he didn't wait that he will be called. He went straight to the statue. And then the emperor said, I will throw my ring on the floor. You take the ring and go. Because the king felt very bad that all the advisors and all the people were there. And the king cannot force children to bow to what they call their God. They said, just take the ring. And the boy, who was 7 years old or 5 years old, looked at his mother and said, Mommy, don't worry. And he said to the king, I don't want your ring. And he was killed, and then Hannah was killed. Now, every child, in this period, in my period, my childhood, every child you met on the street, ask him, do you know the story of Hannah and 7 children? He'll tell you yes. So it is in our blood. Be careful of a Christian, because a Christian, when he sees you, he has one thing in his life. He wants to convert you. That's all. And you better die and don't let him to convert you. And the scare of that is so big that you should understand why everyone is scared. You said Christians, this must be terrible, because if say Christian tell you good morning, it means that he want to convert you. And you cannot take it out of his mind. But this is because this is how they were educated. Now, we come back to the church, and Svensson went him outside, said, Zvi, please come in. And then, of course, my wonderful wife, Esther, she convinced me, and we went to the church. Try to think what a prisoner who was convicted for death and by hanging, when they take him in the yard to hang him, from the jail to the yard, to the pole there where they will hang him, what he think in this part of the way, this was my feeling from where I was sitting outside to the church. And I was so sorry that I went to this stupid dinner, and more sorry that I started to deal with the volunteers and look to what terrible grade think I can. I, Zvi Givati, have to go to a church. What a shame. I knew the story of Hannah and 7 children. It was in my blood, not in my bread, in my head. And we moved slowly to the church. I never saw a church in my life. I didn't know how it looks. I didn't know what they do there. I didn't know what will happen with me. I was already a big man. But I went, and from the door I looked inside, and I saw a sign on the wall saying, Israel, you are not alone. And for the first time in my life, I felt such a relief. I felt my heart wanted to go out from my body to say, I am happy. This Christian that I heard so many terrible things, not only heard, but experienced so many things. They are here and they say, Zvi, you are not alone. Never ever anybody told me, you are not alone. And I started to cry. It was a shame for a man like me, adult, strong, high-ranking officer, Israeli, knows as a hero, goes there and cry like a child. And I look at Esther, and she had tears in her eyes. So I gave her a hand, and we went weeping into the church. And on that day, on that time, I had decided that the rest of my life, I'll do everything that I can to bring closer Christians and Jews. And I will do everything in my life to explain to the Jews that Christians and Jews are one big family. And believe me, I did a lot. I did a lot. And I want to end with a story. The Rotary clubs have decided to send me for a tour all over Israel, and all the Rotary clubs in Israel, to speak about the Christian embassy. And I went to Carmiel. But they sent a letter. And in the letter was saying, General Zvi Givati is going to speak about a secret weapon that Israel has. So everyone said, General, secret weapon. They all came. I have still time to speak. Sheila. Until when I can speak. Because I can. And the first question, what is the secret weapon? That the secret weapon is Christian Friends of Israel. I didn't mean this organization. I meant friends, Christians who are friends of Israel. Everyone turned his face. They were all disappointed. It was not interesting. He's come to speak about Christian. We thought maybe we have a new canon, we have a new aeroplane, and what kind of nonsense he's telling us. And I started to speak to the wall because nobody listened to me. And one of them was reading a newspaper. He held the newspaper under the table, but he didn't know that here it was open and I could see the newspaper. The other one was writing a paper to his friend. The stupid friend was laughing. And then he answered him with another thing, again laughing. And the third one was nearly sleeping all the time. But it took a few minutes, and the man took the newspaper and put aside and started to listen. And then the two who were writing jokes, probably one to the other, stopped to write jokes. And after 10 minutes, everyone was listening. They were polite, like you. It was quiet and they listened. And when I ended, it was one of the greatest days in my life. When I ended, the mayor of the town was there, because secret weapon, General Givati, so he wanted to hear. And he stood up and said, Mr. Givati, why we did not know anything about the Christian embassy at that time? Why we did not know about these Christians? That will comfort us very much. We didn't know a word. This is the first time I hear it. I say, yes, but you would not come if it was not a secret weapon. And believe me, it is a secret weapon. Because when we will have a hard time, these Christians will stand up and help Israel with anything in their life. And I want you to know that your example, being volunteer, coming here to work and living, instead of going and taking care for the future, for the pension, for a good work and trying to advance, leave everything and come to help Israel, you are doing a wonderful, great thing that God wants us all to see in our life. And the mayor said, Zvi, I would like you to bring to me all the staff of the Christian embassy. Let them be the guests of this town. We will disperse them in the families, and they will spend the Shabbat with the families. And Shabbat night, we will have a meeting in the theater, and let us tell to the whole people of the town, because this was a small group of 30 people, but the whole town should hear about it. So I am to be blamed that suddenly a town in the north that never heard about Israel, about Christians, suddenly want us to come and to stay with them on Shabbat. For Jews, this is a great thing. And since then, I go every place, wherever I can. I speak, and all my meetings ended with every one of the listeners have changed totally his mind towards Christians. I think God wanted me to go through the punishment that I had when I was a young boy, and God led me to go to work with Christians. And I am doing the work with great satisfaction. I have finished my work at the Christian embassy because I thought that it was enough. But then I had an idea, and we'll spend another 5 minutes about that. I think that what the Christian Friend of Israel, I know Ray Sanders before this organization was started, and Sharon was my secretary. And I think that we should increase the number. There are many Christians who have to learn about Israel, about Jews. And therefore, I don't know whether you read my first letter about it's what we call Operation One, or called it, I don't know how, but find it in a nice operation is a military word. Now let us find another word for it. But I think that we should ask the Christians, the supporters of us, every one of them, to bring us one new member to the CFI. Only one. If we'll have only one, we'll double the number of supporters. Right? And it is our duty to do that. And what I'm asking you now, please, wherever you write a letter to any one of your friends or family or what, you should see that we have a new member to this organization. This organization, which is a wonderful one, I appreciate it very much. I like Sharon and Ray that have devoted their life for Israel. This organization should be known by the Israelis. You know, if somebody loves a girl, he dreams to marry her one day, to have a family, and you think, I love her, I love her, I love her, but she doesn't know about it. So for her is nothing. But if she knew, she would be happy. And maybe they will have better relations. We should have better relations, Christians and Jews. We are one family. The world is going toward a tragedy. The Islam, with this crazy Ahmadinejad, at the end, he will make a tragedy in the world. When Hitler started, all the European and American, give him Danzig, give him part, he wants a part of Poland, never mind, we give him that, it will be quiet. They never knew that the appetite came while eating. The more you eat, the more you have appetite. This one, he said, Jews should not be in the world, I want to erase them. What do you mean you want to erase them? You are God, what are you? And then what will happen if he finish with the Jews? I hope that the Jews will finish with him before that. What will happen? He will go to the Christians. I went to Africa, and 97% of the population of Senegal were Muslims. 97, 3% Christians only. Whether in the 15th century the Islam came and slaughtered millions, those who didn't want to be Islam, and they do it now also. What does Bin Laden wants? So they all are working towards destroying the world, and we are sitting in peace and quiet and go to the movie, looking at the television, enjoying the cinema, and maybe go to the swimming pool. We have a job to do. And we, small group, are doing a very important job, because you bring to the knowledge of your friends, Christians all over the world, what's going on in Israel. Now, we have to bring the new members. Next time, if you'll invite me again, and as they have behaved well today, and I am happy because sometimes they throw on me eggs and tomatoes and things, today no. I will tell you about my experience in education. I think I was lucky. I had a group of young children called the Jungle Gang, which was the worst group in the history of Tel Aviv. Never was such a group before, never was such a group after. And this group was in a place, and I went to visit them. They wanted to beat me. And I came again until the inspector of education, Dr. Edelson, saw me, and he said, I was 19 years old at that time. I worked as an electric welder. This was my profession, electric welder. And he said, take them out. I took them out. 2 weeks ago, I found 3 boys who were in the institution of the Jungle Gang. One of them is a choreographer, how you call it?
Choreographer.
Huh?
Choreographer.
Choreographer. Now, what kind of word is that? Huh? He teaches, he's an international choreographer. Did I say it good? and teach dances all over the world, and he create new dances, Israeli and others, very famous all over the world. Halevi Moshe, maybe someone heard his name. The other one is a master in our national theater, and he is the director of the scene. He teach the actors how to play. He was in my institution. He could have been today not as a choreographer of the national insurance, the national theater, but he could be a criminal. And the third one started to learn violin at the age of 15. He plays in the London Philharmonic Orchestra. And I met them now after 65 years. And I am very proud of the husband of my wife. Okay. Thank you very much. And I wish you all the best. You are wonderful people. You are doing a very great job. Continue to do that. It is for me a privilege to work here. And it is a great privilege to have this lady as my secretary, who is doing a wonderful job. You are very kind people. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Toda rabah. Now, I didn't want to leave you the water. It's mine.